Hi kids, welcome back. And as promised, this is my summary of the final 3 episodes of Andor, which dropped today. This is not going to be a breakdown blow by blow, nor am I going to go into extreme spoilers. I may mention a couple of things and people and events that people who might not want to know anything about it shouldn't be watching, but there's no major spoilers. Andor is, it's a completely different animal to what we're used to with Star Wars. It's divided the fandom, of course. There are people who are saying it's the greatest thing since the original trilogy, which I don't agree with. I think the greatest thing to happen to Star Wars since the original trilogy is Rogue One. Far more in line with what I liked about the original trilogy and delivered much higher on the stakes of everything from action, drama, and member berries, because you can't have Star Wars without a few member berries, right? But anyway, Andor has divided the fandom in that some people think it's amazing and some people think it's boring. And I understand both sides of it. I have been through episodes of Andor where I thought, what? When are we going to, don't bore us, get to the chorus, as they say. I thought that the first couple of episodes of season 2 were extremely dull, but I thought, temper your boredom because this will come back. This will all come back. And it kind of didn't. The problem with jumping a year every 3 episodes is you leave a lot of things kind of loose ends and you kind of go, never mind, that's obviously resolved itself. I would like to have seen some of the events that took place in those gaps. But it is a very, very well made show. Once you get your head around what kind of show it is, it's not Force, it's not Jedis. It's very light on humor. There's almost no humor in it. The only humor we do really get is K2SO, and he's not in it until the last 2 episodes. So don't hold your breath, but he is fantastic. You gotta love K2SO. Voiced by the amazing Alan Tudyk, of course. The show is, as I expected, it's a very slow burn that actually gathers speed as you approach the final episodes. What I like about it is the Empire are not thick. They're not bumbling, moustache-twirling villains. They are focused. They are quite scary in their dedication. They take no prisoners. They take no crap. And when they mess up, they know they've messed up, and they take the consequences. Same with the rebellion. They're desperate. They're scrappy. They're fighting hard. They'll try anything. And I like that. It's got that, if you can kind of imagine it as a story of World War II occupation of France and the resistance against the German army. It's that kind of thing. And as a result, it's really good. Now, a friend of mine, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but a friend of mine said it reminded him of a scaled down version of Game of Thrones with all the intrigue and the politics and the twists and turns and backstabbing and that kind of stuff. Which I don't know if that's a fair comparison at all. Like I say, I don't watch Game of Thrones. It doesn't really do it for me, but I am aware of how much Game of Thrones is liked. What I will say about Andor is something I only kind of thought about this at the last episode. The show doesn't need to be called Andor because it's more of an ensemble cast. Cassian Andor is a player in a game of about 10 people, 10 characters, and you could have named the show after any of them. It could have been called Mon Mothma. It could have been called what's his name? Luthen Rail. Was it Luthien Rail? I think it's Luthen. It could have been called, I don't know, Bail Organa. I don't know. But there are 4 or 5 major characters in it, and Andor's just a name out of the bunch. It doesn't. I wouldn't say it's all about the adventures of Cassian Andor, because it really isn't. He is a major character, yes, but it is more of an ensemble, and he plays his part. But then other people play equally big parts, or bigger parts in some cases. The acting is all top notch. The drama, the emotion, it's taken some liberties, and it's taken Star Wars to places where a lot of people didn't think it would go in terms of violence and some choices of language and things like that, and things seen on screen a couple of episodes ago. The effects are top notch. It's ILM, of course. I spotted a friend of mine walking around in the Rebel base set. I spotted another friend of mine in the end credits under props. I haven't seen her for years. But it's, I hope, a lot of people don't think this will be repeated anytime soon, but I hope this will set some kind of precedent for a different type of Star Wars that caters for people who don't need running around and Force and Jedis and cute little animals. But I like both. I do like both. I'm equally at home with Empire Strikes Back as I am with Return of the Jedi, So what disappointed me a tiny, tiny bit, and I'm probably alone in this, is that I was hoping for a few more member berries, or at least one big set piece near the end. There wasn't a big set piece at the end. There was revelations and, daring escapes and that kind of stuff. But at the end of season 2, when Andor was in a prison with Andy Serkis, that was a really big kind of the great escape thing. And that was a great note to end it on. But season 2, sorry, did I say season 2? I meant season 1. But season 2 ended with a, guess what's coming? And we know what's coming. It's the film Rogue One. But it was all very well done. But I was hoping for perhaps there was a lot of mention of Emperor Palpatine. I thought he might have made a small appearance, even as a hologram, or just walked into the room and started telling people what he thought of them. I was even hoping for Darth Vader at some point. But it walks a line. It walks a very fine line between, do we go full on Darth Vader, Palpatine, cheap thrills, or do we just keep on the serious drama side of things? And they stuck with the serious drama things. And I guess that is hard to do, but again, it's a different type of Star Wars. If you want Vader, you'll get your Kenobi and those kind of things, and obviously the movies. And obviously he makes an appearance in Rogue One. If you haven't seen Rogue One by now, shame on you, but go watch it. It was, I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. A lot of people are saying, 10, 11 out of 10, a million out of 10, that kind of thing. No, it's great. It's a great show. And season 2 definitely improved on season 1. Especially with the amount of intrigue and things getting, the net getting tighter around the rebels, and the rebels getting more desperate, and even the Empire getting more desperate in their quest for power. I thought it was refreshing and different, and an improvement on season 1. But a tiny, tiny bit of me was like, especially the lack of a big a set piece at the end. Maybe the escape that happened, in one of the previous episodes could have been, pushed nearer the end. I don't know. Or maybe we saw something like a last minute piece of a last minute event, something like, say, for example, a huge ship lands and a bunch of Admiral Akbar's, the Mon Calamari, come out and say, "We're going to join the Empire. It's a trap." Now, Admiral Raddus, who's also a Mon Calamari, he's in it in the last episode. He's featured quite heavily in Rogue One. But I want, imagine Admiral Akbar and everyone else coming down the ramp saying, Mon Calamari have decided to join you. Why have I gone all, I don't know. But Great show, great show. I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. I'm not sure what TV shows I would call 10 out of 10, unless you go way back in the day and talk about Blake Seven. But even Blake Seven didn't have even Blake Seven had some pretty big clunkers. But it's all good. So, what did you think of Andor? There's not going to be another series, obviously, because it ends where Rogue One begins, and there are still other stories to be told. Andor could have easily been the story of Biggs Darklighter, Luke's best friend, because he looks like Diego Luna. And it kind of makes me wonder if Andor, when you look at everything he's done, is possibly a bigger hero of the rebellion than Luke Skywalker was. Yes, I know Luke fought his dad and blew up the Death Star, but look at all the work and sacrifices Andor made. Anyway, great stuff. What did you think of it? Let me know what you think. Again, don't start fights in the comments. I will approve and disapprove comments that I think are inflammatory and just plain rude, because there's no need for it. It's just a TV show. Let's talk about why you liked it or why you didn't like it. And I will see you next time, most probably for the finale of Doctor Who Season 2. What am I letting myself in for? See you soon.